Hello snowboarders of the internet, I am your host TC, and today I will be reviewing the Ride Smokescreen. This board is equipped with Ride's directional standard camber profile, so what that means is you're going to have camber right underneath your feet with a longer rocker section on the nose and a shorter rocker section on the tail. So what that's going to do is that camber zone is going to give you all that pop, drive, and power you're looking for, where that rocker on the nose and the tail is going to give you ease in and out of turns, make it a little bit more catch free, and give you a little bit better float and powder. The Smokescreen comes in a 153, 155, 157 wide, 158, 162, and a 165. I rode this board at Copper Mountain, where when I first got there, got the board all set up, ready to go, hopped on the chairlift, and then the sun went away, it became super flat light, and then the flakes started to fly. They were giant dry flakes, so the snow was actually really good. It only accumulated to a few inches, where it pretty much just covered up those perfect groomers that you could still lay an edge to, but they were still on that firmer side. Towards the end of the day, all that snow got turned into push piles and got a little choppy out there, but it wasn't anything too bad. And I used my Ride Fuse boots and my Jones Mercury bindings. When I first got on this board and started flexing into it, I expected it to be a little softer than it was. It comes in at a little bit stiffer than the middle of the road, and that goes the same when you go to foot steer this thing. You're gonna put a little bit extra effort into it. Now, when you get to the nose and the tail, it does feel very similar to the center of the board here, so it's pretty fluid. It doesn't really feel much softer, even though there is that rocker section in both zones there, but overall it is on that stiffer end, which kind of surprised me, but it kind of goes with the stability portion. It's not the most stable board, but it's got some good stability to it. The best thing it has going for it is damp, where I didn't feel any micro vibrations on this board or anything like that. Even on those firmer conditions, I didn't feel any of it. When you do kind of haul on this board though, you do feel it getting a little bit loose, especially when you're towards the end of the day, when you're on those more push piled zones, that sort of thing. It just kind of skipped over the push piles as opposed to just pushing right through them or anything like that. It kind of got a little bit squirrely on me. This board has pretty good pop to it, especially when you get that weight shifted back. You don't have to really over exaggerate it like you do with stiffer boards, but a little bit of an exaggeration isn't gonna hurt, and it goes quite a long way there. Where it feels nice and stable, it might take a little bit more, and don't let that rocker in the tail fool you. It's not gonna be super soft, it's got a nice pop to it. I wouldn't call it snappy, but it's got some nice spring in it. And it does feel really good going off of side hits and those sort of features when you just kind of load it up, pop it, you don't really have to let the lip do the work, and the landings feel nice and stable. You can set an edge on the landing, it's not gonna dig in too much or too aggressively, anything like that. And if you just land just flat based, you're gonna be totally fine. It wants to track straight and keep going. Remember to like, subscribe, click that bell, and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the reviews we have coming out. This board actually put up more of a fight than I really expected, especially because of that rocker on the tail and the nose, but I wouldn't say it's a total fight. It's definitely some resistance though, where when I wanted to lean back on it, I did have to shift my weight more than I really thought I would. And honestly, this thing really likes to wheelie on the tail rather than press. So like leaning straight back and letting that blunted tail really kind of control it was so much more fun than actually just pressing on the tail. Now, when you go over to the nose section to press on this thing, you're gonna feel that same resistance. I expected it to be a little bit less because you have more real estate to work with here, but it didn't really turn out to be so, where there was still that resistance, still really had to shift my weight. But the positive for it is it does want to pop on those exits, so spinning out of butters isn't a problem at all. It just naturally wants to pop for you. For the ability level this board is designed for, it carves pretty well. Those short, quick carves, it gets edge to edge nice and fast for you. On those medium carves, it is nice, cruisy, and smooth. When you do get to the larger carves though, as long as the run is nice and smooth, it carves very smooth. If it gets a little bumpy out there, this board kind of wants to skip around, gets a little bit choppy, a little bit more unstable. That being said, it will Euro carve. Just make sure that run is nice and smooth and you'll have no problems there. Rider in mind. This board is designed for that intermediate rider that kind of wants to push their level and advance without really breaking the bank. They're looking to really take that free ride to heart and just kind of keep progressing at it. They're not really going in the park or anything like that. They just need this thing to really take on most conditions for them. They probably don't have an extensive quiver, and this is going to be their one board to do it all. If you want another way to get involved, head on over to Angry Snowboarder VIP. Sure, I could explain it here, but we have a great video over there getting into it really in depth. I didn't hate this board, I didn't love this board. It just felt like kind of another directional snowboard to me where honestly, like they have the moderator, they have the shadow ban in the line. It just seems like it kind of gets lost in their line, and I don't really know if it's necessary because those other two boards absolutely rip. So overall, it's a solid board. I mean, if you're trying to save money, it definitely could go for it, but they have much better boards in the line that represent the same type of rider, so I would say maybe check out one of those videos for them that we have up. Comparable boards, the K2 Passport, the Nitro Alternator, and the Ravine. Recommended bindings, the Ride C6, the K2 Bond, and the Union Force. As always guys, I've been your host TC. This has been my review of the Ride Smokescreen. Why don't you go check out one of the videos we have for the comparable boards.